Good afternoon, one and all. Thank you so much for joining us for the 13th edition of Business Opportunity Over Chai webinar series. This is a platform through which Franchise India strives to give you the best of the brands we associated with, a platform through which you can select the best suited brand for you. With this introduction, I would like to invite and welcome our panelist, Chairman Franchise India Group, Gaurav Sir, and our MD, Ms. Sonia Chaudhary, for this particular webinar. The brand for today is Universe. We also invite Abhishek ji and Gaurav ji for this particular webinar. We would like to start the webinar with a small video. Thank you so much, Dheeraj, for the lovely video. Now I would invite Gaurav ji and Abhishek ji to talk about the universe. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Archana, for the warm welcome. Very good afternoon to everyone, all the attendees present here. Thank you, Gaurav sir and Sonia ma'am, for this opportunity. Can you please play the presentation, Archana? All right, we got it here. So I am Gaurav Totla, co-founder and head of business development, Universe Virtual Reality, which is exclusive largest chain of virtual reality arcades. So we are based in Nagpur, and we are into entertainment space. So many of you might have heard about what virtual reality is. So since the year 2019, VR has been a buzzword in the entertainment industry. So everyone in the world suddenly started talking about what VR is, what virtual reality is, and there was a lot of buzz going around that particular terminology. But the problem was there were no avenues or places where people could go and experience what VR is, what virtual reality technology is, and what VR can do in the gaming sector. So we decided to go with that particular niche and used virtual reality into the entertainment space and introduced our concept of VR arcades all over India. So I'll start with the basic of what VR is. It is a believable, interactive, three-dimensional computer-created world which you can easily explore using the devices, the gadgets, a VR headset that you can wear over the headset, and controllers. The controllers are wireless, and you can enter the three-dimensional world and interact with it using all those gadgets. So why virtual reality? Because as I said, there's a lot of buzz around it. 81% of people talk about it. So whenever any customer comes to our outlets, they go and talk about it. So there is a lot of mouth publicity that happens around. 73% of youth tell that they are interested in VR. Not just youth, many of the kids and even the old age people, they also like what virtual reality is. And 75% of people tend to come again and again to visit our stores. So now, why we started with this concept? Because we felt that there is a problem with what the entertainment industry has right now. And that is when we started visiting these family entertainment centers. So these centers are targeted mostly towards kids, and they have a very huge area, like 5,000 to 10,000 square feet area. And the games present over that FECs are probably the same for years and years together. So that's where we thought that these kind of places have a huge investment. They have huge infrastructures, huge operational maintenances, huge staff salaries, and probably any small investors like who wants to invest 15 lakh, 20 lakh, 30 lakh rupees. So these kind of models into entertainment are not suitable for these kind of people. So we thought that why not we use virtual reality to create spaces, say around with an investment of 15, 20 lakh rupees, and which can be easily installed in around 400 square feet. So that was the thought, that we really wanted to compete with the family entertainment centers. And then we established these kind of small models, which has less spaces, less investments, less operational costs, and highly profitability. So these are, this concept we termed as location-based virtual reality arcades. So the opportunity is very high currently into this sector. Talking about the global landscape, we have more than 500 arcades opened in the last 2 years in US and UK. Even China has more than 1,000 to 1,500 VR arcades, exclusive VR arcades. The total revenue has already reached around $7.2 billion, which is all set to grow very exponentially. Because all these global corporations like Google, Apple, Facebook, HTC, Samsung, they have all entered into this domain, and the whole ecosystem has been created so that developers are able to create good content. Arcades like us are able to deliver content, and hardware manufacturers are able to create very advanced hardware. So all this ecosystem is now very mature, so that concepts like VR arcade can run very well into the market. So it is definitely a category creator concept, we believe. So what is Universe? It's a place, it's a venue to experience world-class top-rated games and experiences in the most advanced technology using VR. So now these games, these are not created by us. We tie up with developers across the US and UK who are completely creating good games into virtual reality exclusively. So studios like say NVIDIA. So these companies license their content to us, and we commercialize it at our arcades. So the crux of the matter is we don't have limited content. The content is fresh every month. So it's not like if we have the same hardware, we can change the games. I mean, every 2 to 3 months we'll have 4, 5, 6 new games, and your customers would always want new content. So the investment is low, say around 15 to 20 lakh rupees for 4 to 700 square feet area. And one more point is we have portable virtual reality systems which can be easily installed in parties, events, and gatherings. So these systems you can easily take out of your the outlet and easily installed into places where people have gatherings, or say they have birthday parties or kiddie parties, and they just want to rent out the system for around 2 to 3 hours of time. So advantages, it's a worldwide booming industry. As I said, the age group is wide, so there is no limitation of any age group for this particular venture. So any child, say from the age group of 6 to 7 years to old age people of 65 to 70 years, we have content for all of these age groups. The hardware is suitable for all these ages. It's an innovative concept with great appeal. The investment is very low. So this is global. This is a global map of where this VR arcade is situated right now. The US, these kind of markets, and India holds a very great opportunity due to the distributed demographics, distributed population, and the high demand for entertainment sector as of now. So talking about the company, we have been into existence since the year 2016, and we had a virtual reality services vertical by the name Bazinga Labs. So post that in 2018, we launched our first arcade at Empress Mall, Nagpur. So we started with that, and we are registered as an innovative startup company with DIPP, and recognized as one of the top 10 companies augmented reality and virtual reality technology in India. So we are also a Google trusted company for business solutions. This is our core team. Abhishek is also present in the webinar. Preetham heads HR, and Kishore is heading the technology part for us. So this is our journey so far. By now, say we have around 13 outlets running as of now in different parts of India. Say we started in Nagpur, so we have around 3-4 outlets in Nagpur. Post that, we started our operations in Amravati, in Latur, in Pune. We have it in Bhopal. We have it in Indore. We have it in Kolkata. So we have launched successfully in 3-4 Indian states and running very successfully. So the plan for rolling out more outlets is also going on smoothly. We have 2 more outlets under development part, and due to this COVID situation, we are not able to complete the work. But yes, we have already finalized locations and going ahead with it. So there is one more interesting update that we have installed our systems at the India's largest toy store, which is Hamleys in the Connaught Place location. So retail outlets like these toy stores or maybe supermarkets, so they also have a good opportunity where we can install these kind of systems. We also tied up with Sachin Saga VR, which is a VR cricket game developed by Sachin Tendulkar's team, and we have launched this cricket game across all our stores. Only Imagica, which is near Pune, and Universe, they have the permission to run Sachin Saga VR Pro, which is a cricket game launched by Sachin Tendulkar. So these are our experiences offered. You can see in the screen, there is a lot of variety in which we have some thrilling experiences like walking on the plank, some sports experiences like table tennis and cricket. We have boxing, we have horror experiences, we have Fruit Ninja for kids, we have some space shooting games, we have underwater exploration. So our whole content is categorized into 2 different parts. One is experiences and one is games. So experiences meaning you don't have any competition or any competitive experience inside it. It is just you have to be with the surrounding and experience what's happening around you. So like roller coaster or underwater experience or walking or doing something. So that's an experience. Shooting games or cricket or say this kind of violent the Gone game or Arizona Sunshine. So these kind of experiences are categorized into the gaming part, in which there is a lot of competition. There are multiplayer games so that 2 or 3 people can club together and play in a group or play as opponents with each other. So there is a lot of variety in games. As currently we have around 25 to 30 different titles launched into our arcades, and 75 to 80 more titles are under pipeline. So we don't launch it at once. We launch it phase wise, or say as the older games gets more old and people's the demand starts deteriorating. So at that point of time, we introduce new games. So further, I want to take you through how our outlets look like. So this is our first VR arcade. So it's located at Empress Mall, Nagpur. So it's a 500 square feet property. Here you can see the outside exterior look of the outlet. Here there are 2 virtual reality stations. Every station needs 100 square feet area for its operations. So this carpet area, as you can see here, is 200 square feet area, in which we have 2 different VR systems. This is on the right side corner, you can see a space where people can come in groups and sit and enjoy, looking what other people are doing and enjoying at the play area. Similarly, we have the second outlet at Landmark Mall, Nagpur. This is a shop-in-shop outlet in which you don't have to own an exclusive space. If you already have a running business, say a hospitality venture or a hotel, a restaurant, a club maybe, or any venture where you have ready footfall, say even a supermarket. So you can dedicate 100 or 200 square feet area to set this VR venture up, and it will be up in 8 to 10 days of time. So as you can see in the picture, it is located at a bowling alley in Nagpur. So it is 200 square feet area which they have dedicated for Universe, and 2 people can play at a time on 2 machines. This is our outlet at Kumar Pacific Mall, which is around 780 square feet. We have 4 different VR systems there. This one is clubbed with a cafeteria. So we have a cafe along with VR systems installed in a single place. So that is also interesting combination that we have come across. So we did this store as a pilot store, but then the response we got was very amazing. So this is a 1100 square feet store where we have a seating capacity of around 40-45 people, and we serve all the fast food and mocktails, freak shakes, and all of that varieties at the store, including the VR experiences. So these kind of places become very popular because it has food and beverages as well as a gaming part to it. So people prefer these kind of places a lot for parties and celebrations. So this one is in Bhopal at Ashima Mall. So this property is 850 square feet. We have 4 stations here. At Indore, at Kolkata. So these are our current locations, which is ranging from around 200 square feet to 1100 square feet of space. These are the possible setup locations where these kind of ventures can work very amazingly. Say malls, airports, theme parks, cruises, residential complexes, food courts, IT parks, gaming cafes, hotels, cineplexes. So these all kinds of places can easily accommodate VR systems, which requires very little space. So this is the investment scenario, as you can see in a single sheet. So single station kiosk, if you are able to get a space in a mall, in a kiosk around 80 to 100 square feet, so the investment would be around 6 lakh rupees for a single station. The ROI period would be 3 to 5 months. A 2-station kiosk would cost you around 10.5 lakh rupees with an ROI period of 6 to 8 months. Similarly, 400 square feet exclusive arcade, which you saw just like the Empress Mall outlet, the costing would be around 16 to 18 lakh rupees with a ROI period of around a year. So we also have master franchisee and outlets with a cafe included with it. So we have all these 4-5 different models, which the details would be shared with you post the webinars. So these are our current stats. So we have 13 locations with 2 more under development. The total team size is around 45 plus as of now. And we have delivered more than 2 lakh experiences with around 10 lakh minutes of VR immersion. So that's our total complete statistics, which we have collected through our portal or platform, which is installed in the VR systems. So one more important thing is that all these VR systems are monitored well, so that there is no pilferage of content. So many people would have a question that what if we are not present at the outlet? What if our employees try to cheat us, or what if they sell the experiences that we don't come to know? So this is all software based. Every game or experience played in the computer system would be tracked, and in the end of the day, you would get a complete report of what has been played in the VR system. So that's where all the statistics and data comes from. So we have more than 60% of repeat visitors, which has definitely built our confidence more high. So we have been covered a lot by the local and national medias as well. So you can just have a look. This one is from Bhopal, Nagpur. This is from Nagpur again. So apart from this VR, we have also recently tied up with Motion Magics. It's a leading gaming company that projector-based VR games. Projector-based games, not just virtual reality, but different games which can be projected on the floor. So this is more meant for kids. So for example, if you have a space of more than 600 or 800 square feet, in which you just don't want to keep it limited to virtual reality, so these kind of projector-based systems can also add value to the whole outlet. So this is an interesting update from our side. So these kind of games, you can opt for these as well. Talking about competition, we don't have any direct competition in India as of now. No global companies in virtual reality like the Holo Cafe or say VRcade. So these kind of companies, they have not entered the Indian market. Indian companies like Kalidozone or Zero Reality, they have been able to sustain few outlets in their particular regions, say like Pondicherry or more in South India. Chinese companies, they have sold their individual machines into malls, but these machines, they lack quality and are definitely fading out from wherever they have been installed right now. More of these Chinese machines you can see in mall kiosks or some part of these family entertainment centers, the egg-shaped VR machines or family VR machines. So only these 2-3 kind of machines you can see, which can be seen as a competition to us, but in fact they have been fading out very quickly because of low maintenance and low quality of content. So that's where we are coming up big time. So we can claim that we are the largest chain of virtual reality, exclusive virtual reality arcades in India. So now a very important thing, what could be the post-COVID scenario for entertainment, how we are going to come up with solution, because entertainment has been a very talked about domain where the coronavirus is showing a very greater amount of impact. So there are 2-3 points which I would like to mention, that as the store is very very spacious with very little equipment, so the store sanitization can be done very easily. The first point is that the store can be easily sanitized and can be maintained with high level of sanitization. Second is where two people are playing separately, so there is no group playing as mentioned. So every person would be playing in a different 100 square feet area of the place. So automatically, while playing, social distancing is easily achievable in these kind of outlets. We also have specially designed VR hygiene masks, as you can see that the person is wearing inside the headsets, so that even if the person who is playing next wears the headset, so there is no risk of any infections. And we'll definitely use these plastic gloves and head caps, which can be easily disposed of. So all these measures we have thought of implementing into our outlets, which can be our counter to whatever the situation we are facing right now. So I think we can move ahead with the question answer round, and maybe any queries can be taken. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gaurav and Abhishek. Great presentation, Gaurav. We feel that you are in the very, very good, or what I call the rising industry space. Both VR and AR are one of the largest investment cases for most of the technology companies, because this is not only used for entertainment, but it will be used for a lot of other applications across board, especially now because of this COVID. We feel that machine intelligence and creative VR experiences and so on would be on rise. And it will also come like other technology, like now we're doing these webinars on Zoom. These are become way of life. I also feel that the next cycle would be that our acceptability towards technology would be very, very high. These VR studios, especially the gaming studios, has been there in the last 3-4 years, mushrooming all over in Asia, especially in US, Europe, but India has not seen that. So I congratulate you that you still, I think you started in 2016. So you were able to see this opportunity much ahead of anybody else. And you've obviously seen the difficult part of what I call getting into the market and getting yourself establishing and so on and so forth, and creating a category as you have done. So congratulations for that. So we always at Franchise India evaluate opportunities on 4 parameters, what I call the predictability, the scalability, sustainability, and also adaptability. So on the adaptability side, I have no problem, because the youth is excited about, and they're very I saw your video. Even I think elders were playing. It's very adaptable, as a technology is not very difficult to get through. And it's just technology takes over, and then a little bit of instruction you can be and especially for young, I think they're already ahead of us, so they already know how to play these games and so on and so forth. So I have no problem on the adaptability. I have also no problem on the scalability itself. The industry is just very early. India would see thousands of what I call VR studios. So now only 13, and you are only a pioneer of that. So I think there is a lot of scalability in the business model, both for you and also for the franchisee. They can multiply. They can, as you said, they can start with a studio, and they can also do these portable things which they can take to parties or activities or some entertainment zones and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of scalability available. So I have only 2 areas which I would like your input. One is what I call sustainability. Sustainability for businesses or business models are based on a lot of influences which happens to them, and also the cost structure. So because a large part of your cost is hardware, and we've seen in all other technology, hardware keep coming down. So do you think when people invest at this stage, how they can be sure that tomorrow the price correction would happen, and the same equipment they've now put as a capex maybe become half the price, and there can be erosion of their structures. That's one. Second, I think overall business model itself, I would like you to put a little bit of thought process. What do you charge? How much you charge from a business viewpoint? How it is more sustainable? So that's one. The second is predictability. How do you find right locations, and how do you predict that what kind of volume each location would be able to do that? So I would like you to highlight on these 2 points. One is how do you bring predictability in terms of your sales numbers and so on and so forth, and also from a sustainability viewpoint, particularly on the capex side. Or also, would you have an opportunity to also bring some kind of a hardware financing in the system so that it can reduce a burden on franchisee to invest 15, 20 lakh rupees, or even for a one single console, if they start with 7, 8 lakh rupees, if this can be brought in. So over to you, Gaurav.
Of course, we have thought about all those things that you said, and say for the hardware part, so each machine costs us around 3.5 to 4 lakh rupees as of now, and say these are very high-end virtual reality devices, and we don't have these kind of devices retailed in India. So whatever is very upcoming in the US market, we definitely try to bring down it in India. So we feel that any hardware that you have procured right now will have a life of minimum 3 to 4 years of time. And of course, every business would have some kind of reinvestment that needs to be taken care of. So the computer system would be the same. Only things which needs to be replaced due to wear and tear, or needs to be replaced due to innovation in that particular technology, is the virtual reality headsets. So for example, we started with the basic HTC Vive with our first store, and after the completion of 2 years, we have these Vive Focus and Vive Pros and 2-3 different gadgets which we want to incorporate into our outlets right now. So the cost is not very high, but then the headsets are very easily replaceable. We can use the same VR computer in the background, but the headsets can replaced easily. So that's where we can keep an edge over the technology, as well as maintain the finances. Secondly, I would like to tell you how the whole model works. So every customer, we show a catalog of around 20 to 25 games, in which the customers on an average chooses 2 to 3 games, so which is of say around 3 to 5 minutes of time. So for 3 to 5 minutes of time, every customer pays around 150 to 200 rupees for a single experience. So that is what we charge. And say on an average in a day, we sell around 75 to 80 experiences at every store. Secondly, this concept is not limited to malls. We have worked out on outlets where we are already present at non-mall locations as well. Say in Latur, we are at a high street. In Nasik, we are at high street. In Indore, we are at a high street. So it's not very limited to just malls. So as I said, that it's a very flexible model. You can, it's like plug and play. You can plug it in a cafe. You can plug it in a superstore. You just need 200 square feet area and it's up and running. So where you have customers, you can easily cross sell. Where you have customers, you can easily give them a different variety of experience into their stores to pull audiences. So now just as a case study, I would like to tell you that Hamleys is using virtual reality not for selling. They give their experiences completely free, but they're attracting more crowd using this technology. So this is how different people are using it in different ways. But now, as the concept is catching up, so as you rightly said, that young people, young crowd, definitely want something new, and VR is the thing which is talked about a lot nowadays, which can be easily made available due to this raw market, which we have a complete vacuum of VR arcades in India. And more interestingly, why there is a commercial people in VR arcades is because this technology cannot be taken home very easily. There are very few people in India who can afford a setup of 4 to 5 lakh rupees at home. That's where people would want to go out, want to experience virtual reality in groups. And that's where we come into picture.
No, very helpful. I think if I take your viewpoint, I think as a business model, every investor should understand whenever you get into a business of technology and hardware is required, so you would have to continue to upgrade your hardware because the new versions would keep coming in. So that is one investment you should keep in your mind when you invest into a category like that. Also, because of the content is key in this space, and they're working on both content which is international, and they're working on also a lot of domestic content. But content would get fatigued, and the content rotation also has to be done.
Right.
When you work with a chain business like they are already, so they bring content from one city to another place. So, and this can be because it's also licensed, and there is licensing also. Because of economies of scale and because of the network, you can do much better than an independent arcade operator. So come and say, why should I take a franchise? I can just buy the machine and start my own arcade. You will never be able to get so much of content. The value of a brand is really about bringing a lot of content which can be then over the time spread over the network. So that's very, very important to know, because I have got these questions from people that, if I have to just buy a hardware and I can start my own thing, why should I buy a franchise? The franchise will really be able to not only give you the systems, the training and processes, but continue to upgrade your content. And I see India, you will now see a lot of fresh content coming in, and this category would get into at this stage, as he said, it's experiences, it's gaming or sports, and it will also go to what I call edutainment, which means that education through entertainment would also become a very big. The schools, colleges would also like to adopt this as a technology. Now I'd like to invite Sonia into the discussion, and she would ask the questions from you.
Sure.
Thank you, Gaurav ji, for coming on this webinar and addressing our viewers today. I also personally feel, this AR and VR at large has become a way of our lives across all age groups, and any businesses today are using AR and VR as one of the main mediums through which they're reaching out to people and creating these experiences. As far as the industry goes, and little information or understanding I have, we have seen the LBE, which is location-based entertainment VR, is one of the areas which has shown a lot of promise in the past 4 odd years, ever since we have seen this particular business and category evolving. And immersive technologies like yours, I feel, have fundamentally altered the way people are now interacting with the content overall. And the strongest demand we have seen for these technologies, which is currently coming from industries which are very creative economy, I would say, especially gaming businesses, companies like yours, events, video, and retail at large is using this. And it is fast getting accepted as a mainstream gaming platform in the entertainment sphere. My would be, I was also watching what globally other companies are doing, and I've personally not seen any brand, while what you talked about, there are a lot of spaces like Smash and other entertainment centers which have these stations, and they're using it as another, I would say, center of entertainment. But the different business models across globe which are being used. So for example, VR World New York City, they employ a model which is all-day business model, where you buy a ticket, you get inside, spend the entire day, come back. And then you have a model which is a time-based model, where you pay for, say, 5 minutes, 1 minute, and then you the customer pays like that. And the third is a model which is charged per experience. And what I understand from the communication, you're charging per experience. But out of these 3 models, and looking at what maybe the biggest companies are doing, what do you think out of these 3 models will get traction in India? And as far as your experience goes across all your centers which you have been running, what do you feel is the way forward, how the model or how the business would evolve?
So yes, very interesting question. And when you talk about these kind of models, I would like to say that we incorporate second and the third models, as you say. So we have time-based model as well as per experience model. So if say 2 or 3 people come in a group and they want to play multiple experiences, so we we ask them to pay 350 or 400 rupees depending upon the city for a time frame of around 30 minutes. We don't have an all-day model here, and people are really looking forward for 30 minutes or 1 hour packages, for which they can easily pay 300 to 400 rupees for 30 minutes. And secondly, what happens is I've seen one case in Pune where I visited a small VR arcade in which the owner charged around 100 rupees for a 2-hour gameplay. So it was not sustainable at that point of time. But when people are ready to pay 150 or 200 rupees for a 3 to 4 minute experiences, it would be definitely devaluing our own concept by accepting 100 or 200 rupees for an hour. So we don't want to make it another small gaming cafe where people pay 25-30 rupees for an hour and play Counter Strikes. So we want to keep it a little above, above normal rates. But due to this kind of innovation and lack of VR arcades, definitely people do pay us. Secondly, the quality that we offer to the customers, every customer is very happy and very satisfied when he completes that experience. So post that, I don't think any customer has denied or refused to pay whatever amount we ask them to pay. So there has been no resistance at all for 150 rupees or 200 rupees of charge for a 5-minute experiences. So people are ready to pay that amount, and I think we deserve that kind of whatever we charge.
Sure. Thank you, Gaurav. Very relevant and helpful. And as I was hearing you discuss in the LB VR market, as we see, not everything is smooth. The industry looks very optimistic, but it is also very dynamic at the same times. It does take quite a lot of investment. You talked about 4.5 lakhs or 3.5 lakhs per machine kind of an investment that goes in putting up each station. And also there's a constant upgrade of equipment and content, and also larger, I would say, training of the staff which is involved. And there are two things which become very important. One is personalization. Today, people are willing to pay for an experience, like you said, more than a product they're using. And to give it the right experience, you also need a lot of deeper understanding on the customer's need, personalized content or experiences based on their own preferences of moods, behavior, which is largely happening, which I'm seeing because I was, before I got in, I saw. And they're doing all that with the help of a lot of artificial intelligence. And second aspect is immersion, which is people are looking for very unique and memorable experiences for which they can take photographs and, put on social networking sites. And this is becoming and giving a lot of consumers and customers a very big kick where content and experiences like these have become very collaborative. And they would like to, when they take these experiences, also have their friends. And you see that in most of the games that we are playing, we have it has a social bonding and collaboration where you're playing with your friends and you have that experience as well. How do you see your brand Universe collaborating, or how do you see these two elements of personalization and immersions coming in your way of how you want to pass on the experience? One, and the second is because like I said, there's a lot of investment upgrading which is required. What part of that is taken care by the brand, and how much of that is the implication on the franchisee, and how frequently it is to be upgraded? Because I heard you talking, there are about 80 titles, games which are under launch and which you would do gradually. So what is the frequency of that?
So see, there are two components. One is Abhishek, yes, please go on.
Sonia, so thank you for the questions, very relevant. For the first part of your question, which is related to personalization and social media, and people actually going together to play in groups and then actually updating about what they've experienced in our virtual reality center. I'm really very happy and glad to tell you that our centers are exactly what you think or what you said that they should be, because we have more than 70% repeat customers, and every customer who comes to our store definitely brings along 10 different people at 10 different times because they experience something that they have never experienced before. I'll give you an example of something which, I have personally experienced. I have a lot of corporate friends and people who have traveled all over the world, and they have been to various places. But I actually forced one of a senior corporate guy to come to one of our stores and to have an experience. And he was like, okay, it's a VR game, and I really am not into gaming, and this is not something that is of my interest. But okay, Abhishek, I'll come for you. After he came to the store, I knew what is his interest, and we have games and experiences to cover most of the interests, whether it could be sports, whether it could be shooting, whether it could be amusement, whether it could be fantasy. or whether it could be going on a world trip. So, you know, we cover all those genres. And when I got this gentleman to the store, and I knew that he really likes, you know, adventure. So I made him experience one of the games, and that guy was all over the place. He said, I've never seen something like this in the whole world. Of course, when people travel, they don't have time. Generally, for work, when they travel, they don't have time to go to amusement centers. But he never expected a quality product like this in the gaming sector, or let's say entertainment sector, to be in India. So, you know, he actually went back and he brought his own family, whole family back to experience. And then his whole family, you know, his kids and his wife, they came in with their friends and family. So that's what we do. That's what we do very differently, which actually, you know, catches the attention of people. And most, if you happen to visit our Instagram pages, you will be able to see, you know, the kind of video content that we upload and our users upload. So that's the first part of your question, Sonia. Now, coming back to the second part, where you say that about the hardware and the upgradation cost and the gaming cost or the licensing fee, which may be. We have a licensing fee, which is a fixed amount, which we charge per year, which is a part of the business plan. And it is included in the first year's investment. And every year you have to pay a certain amount of fee, which is actually towards the licensing cost. And then you don't have to pay any additional cost thereafter for the whole year. As far as the hardwares are concerned, whenever we open a new store and we sign up for a new store, we get the top end of every possible component of the hardware that is available in the market. We do not buy the PCs from the market. We make our own PCs with our own configuration. So we buy the top end. So for example, the best possible available graphic card, whatever the cost may be, which then becomes a 4 to 5 year proof product, because despite of the technology innovations, you really don't have so much changes that you would have to discard a PC or a motherboard in 5 years. No. Yes, we do have better games coming in, and games is something which is like, you know, a raw material for us. So we keep on, you know, getting new games. We keep on developing new games, which is at our back end, and we launch them every now and then, depending on the center and depending on the requirement of that particular outlet. However, on an average, we launch about 3 new games every 2 months. So the content is always fresh. The repeat customers keep on coming because they expect to see new games every now and then. And every consumer who comes in and plays one particular game is so flabbergasted that he wants to come again and play another game or experience another experience. So, you know, the hardware cost, yes, maybe in 3 to 4 years of time, we may have to change the headset depending on the new technology innovation, which is probably about 25% of the cost of the complete setup. But you would not need to spend any more money on the complete hardware other than the 25%. That too, if it may. Currently, from the first outlet that we started, we are still using the same hardwares that we started with. So that's not actually changed till now.
Okay, I think that's very helpful, Abhishek. Extending on the licensing fee, you said it is a monthly, it's an annual charge that your franchisees need to pay. How much is that, and how is that calculated?
So this is calculated basis the number of games that we launch and the amount of license fee that we need to pay. So, you know, with 13 stores experience, we know which store, which city performs, or which games are played more, and, you know, how much of licensing fee we need to pay to the, you know, the developer. So we charge 1 lakh rupee per machine per year, okay, which includes new game development, which includes the license fee in terms of per minute cost that we pay to the developers. So this is an internal calculation because, you know, from the experience of 13 stores, we know, like, okay, you know, maybe in Arizona Sunshine is played 600 minutes in a month, or, you know, a boxing is played for like 400 minutes in a month. Basis that, we have a calculation basis which we have made a model of 1 lakh rupee per machine per year.
Okay, so give me an example. Your biggest arcade, which is 1,200 square feet, what kind of license fee for a model like that would go to you as a brand from the franchisee?
Well, when you talk about Latur, because I'm not sure about the numbers of Latur.
So anybody, I just wanted to have an understanding, because a franchisee who opens a bigger arcade would like to understand what is the cost implication year on year if he's having a bigger model.
No, the cost of license fees is per machine. So that is standard across all stores that we have kept right now.
So for a bigger arcade, you said there will be number of machines, usage would be higher.
Machines, the cost of license fees is per machine per year. So more
So
than
how much would that be? How many machines in a bigger arcade like Latur or a 1200 square feet model that you have? How many machines, and typically how much would that be?
2 machines to maximum 4 machines at any outlet.
All right. I'll take some questions from the audience, and one of the questions which I'd like to take up, we talked about a lot of locations, Kauravji, and these locations were malls, shop and shop formats. And there is one question which has come from one of our viewers. He's talking about, is there a mobile model, because where people can put the entire technology in a car or a mobile van and move that around a city, or these clusters. Is there a model like that you're thinking of creating, or do you think that's
the model is under development as of now, but excluding the vehicle format, the machines can be taken across any location in the city where it can be transported using any personal vehicle or even on two-wheelers. So the machines can be taken, installed at around 20-25 minutes, and it's up and running at any place that you want.
But it's not a mobile van which can go around in areas and people can experience.
That is easily doable. I mean, we did not find the need to do it yet, but that can be done if there is a requirement from any franchise.
Just for adding that, because you mentioned to me that you've now tied up with Reliance stores, the kids stores, which you have tied. Are you also looking at now creating partnerships with retail environment? And I'm sure in current times, when is passing through this all, a lot of people would see you as a traffic generator and bringing you on the concept or profitability, adding profitability. So if you have these kind of partnerships, it will be easy for a franchisee to take maybe a shop in shop location in a location like Hamley, you said. Is that options also available for franchisees? I mean, if a franchisee
on that part, we are still working out. So this is our first, first initiative in the Indian corporate or in the Indian retail market, where this is our first pilot store, which is up and running at Connaught Place, Delhi. So I think in probably 3 or 4 months time, we'll decide on that. As of now, we have not approached any other retailers or any other, large format retail chains where, we have shown any interest.
Yeah.
The model which we are working in is the franchisee model, in which we are tying up with, people who already own these kind of places. For example, if an investor has a small cafeteria of around 800,000 square feet and wants some gaming component addition to it, so they can take up a 200 square feet dedicated area for VR, and then it will be a cross sell. Food and beverages always complements entertainment, and entertainment always complements F&B. So that's how the relationship goes on and on.
A very good idea, especially for a lot of cafes. Even existing cafes can also integrate your business model and get an additional experience and also profitability for their same square real estate which they have. Same real estate can create a bigger throughput, adding back services. So I would say that a lot of especially food franchise businesses can look at you as a good alternative to value add. Yes, Sonia, you have more questions?
Kaushik, I have a question. You talked about the master franchisee model. How does that work? And you also talked about the possible locations where one can possibly set up, which included airports, malls, food courts, and maybe, it can be taken to houses as a experience. Now, will a master franchise model have all that open to him, or would there be restrictions in terms of the locations where he can open one? And how does the model work? How does he get a revenue share of the franchisees opened under him? So a little bit on that, if you can shed some light.
So we right now have territory-based master franchisee models. Say it could be around state-based or around say 4-5 district-based. So that is negotiable with the investor. Secondly, master franchisee has to have one exclusive VR arcade into his bucket. So you cannot just take up a master franchisee and sell it to someone else. So you have to run one store at least and then become a master franchisee, or simultaneously take up a store and take the master franchisee. So that is workable. Secondly, we would share the franchisee fees or whatever royalty we get from the unit franchisee with the master franchisee. So that's how the master franchisee would earn the revenue.
Oh, okay. I think you're saying there's a sharing of franchise fee and royalties with the master franchisee.
Yes.
And what percentage is that?
I think we'll share the sheet with the interested people.
Okay, and this would be different based on the region and the location one inquires from, based on the potential the city or the region can hold.
Yes, yes. For the unit franchises, we have kept a population of 5 lakh. So for every 5 lakh population, we would want one unit outlet. And for around 50 to 70 lakh population, we would want one master franchise.
Okay, now this brings me to another question, more than the number of people present in certain demographics, would it be more relevant to have understanding on the opportunity, how big the opportunity is in that cluster and which are the relevant locations one can possibly open? So either of the two, I don't know, how do you do it? But I think even the opportunity size and the locations one can possibly open are also important when considering awarding a opportunity like this.
Of course, it is very subjective to what location we are dealing with. Say if you talk about Mumbai, there could be two different malls in 500
Correct.
area.
Yes. Right.
So any exclusivity cannot be given in that particular case for a single.
Right.
That is very subjective and can be sorted out with discussion with the investor.
Great. I like to see, okay, I have a question which says, how do you maintain quality and operations of the technical support at the outlet? Is there a specific training which is imparted to them?
Yes. So our training support head would be at the location for at least 7 to 8 days. Will train the employees, would help in hiring, and would be back from the store only when the store is up and running. So one part is that before the store begins, and secondly, we have 24/7 troubleshooting team in which, in case of any technical breakdown or any technical difficulty that the staff faces, can be easily sorted out through any technology support over the internet or on telephone. So that is easily doable.
Very good. I have a very interesting question, which also I want to know, because we're in an omni-channel world and people are experiencing from different channels. We have Anshuman who wants to know, is there a mobile model which people can order for experience at home?
Yes, you can definitely order a VR setup for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours of time, whatever you want. And our people would be coming there at your location, setting it up, and then you can probably enjoy VR for 4 to 5 hours, whatever we decide. And you just need 100 square feet area, dedicated 100 square feet area, and some electrical supply connections. That's it. But as rightly said, we don't have a mobile van concept as of now, which can be developed easily. But the setups are portable and we can easily take it off from the store or from our warehouse and easily install it at the desired location, wherever the party or the event is.
Okay, now
We
are
have
the experience
done it in a lot of colleges, we have done it in a lot of schools, we have done it in corporate events, corporate offices, we have done it in kids' birthday parties, kitty parties, into wedding receptions. So all formats of events, we have been there in maximum cities where we are present.
Okay, now just there's one question which I perhaps want to go back to. We talked about the life of these machines, which is about 3 to 4 years. Is it based on the number of years they're using, or it is based on the number of experiences or the usage of? Because some locations would have a higher usage and some not be that used. So would the depreciation happen also on the number of usage on each machinery?
Of course. There are a few components like the headband or say some parts which are not made up of plastic, so they are rubber or silicone made, so which can definitely wear and tear after a certain time, and that of course depends on the usage of the customers. So definitely 3 or 4 years of time I'm saying for the technology, not for the hardware. So if hardware is maintained well and used well, definitely it would sustain for 3 to 4 years. But if anything, it's not used well, or maybe
definitely
due to rough usage, so the quality of the delivery, maybe the screen would fade a little, or if the controller breaks in, so at that point of time you would need a technical intervention, and that small component or hardware needs to be replaced immediately. Rightly said that it is based on wear and tear and the number of uses that the hardware is done.
Sure. Now, are these experiences delivered over internet? I would say, they're stored in a cloud, or these are stored in the PC?
It is stored in the local PC because every game size is around 10 GB to 20 GB of file size, so it's not possible to deliver it over internet. So we have a local, hard drive where it is all stored. So say if there are two systems and two people want to play table tennis against each other, so we would start table tennis and connect these two systems together over internet. That's where internet is used, but not for the complete gameplay.
Okay, all right.
Internet is used for syncing the devices, but not for loading the games.
Okay, all right. Okay, great. Very important. Just to understand, because you've been running all these centers, what kind of revenue one can expect? And we know it takes some time for, these centers to come to their efficiencies over a period of time. But typically, what kind of revenues annually one can expect? Maybe if you give me between the biggest format, which is 1200, and the smaller format, which is maybe a station, say 250, 300 square feet one. And what kind of royalties? Is that a percentage, or there's a fixed amount which is being charged by you?
So yes, so talking about our store in Pune, which has 4 systems currently. So the revenue that we are seeing at Pune is around 6.5 to 7 lakh. And for 2 systems at Empress Mall outlet, we are seeing a revenue of around 3 to 3.5 lakh rupees, in which our monthly expenditure would go around 80 to 90,000 rupees only.
Yeah, it's a good model because you don't have any inventory. So you have technically only 3 costs, which I call the occupancy cost, which now would reduce also because of this. And I think malls would encourage your concepts like yours to come in because I think a lot of changes are going to come in the whole environment, and the entertainment would become a very important aspect for people to do. And it's also relatively easy to manage, as you said. Hygiene, sanitization, all can be easily done. It's not it's a people contact sport, so to say. It's everybody plays independently, and so that's good. So, and the second cost you have is HR, which is also very light. It's not too much back end, supply chain, and so on. And third is hardware and a little bit of what I call license cost. And if somebody is able to manage this between, I would presume between 50% of their sales cycle, then they have still enough left for them to make good money. So from a business model, I think it looks very attractive. It also has a positive influences. What I see, the whole category is growing and a lot of content would be created and so on and so forth. But there would be still a risk, and something which you would like to share with our investors and say, don't do these 3 or 4 things which can, out of your experiences, which are the don'ts in this whole opportunity.
One thing which we believed since the start of our first outlet is never let any customer go unhappy from the store. So if, say, for example, we suggested our experience to the customer and the customer did not like it, so at that point of time, we did not charge the customer. We asked them to instead try a different one, and if they are happy, they pay us. So that, we created a lot of trust into our customer base, and that's where, we gave freebies, free experiences, little trials. So that's where, we kept on going and gathered a lot of gamers around us. A lot of family customers would visit us very frequently because their children or even age-old parents would tell, "Yaar, chalo, aaj universe jana hai, aaj humko underwater experience karo." So one interesting case study was a father of our customer who went to Andamans, but he could not do scuba diving there because of his age. So when he came back to Nagpur, he visited us and tried the Blue experience, which is underwater scuba diving experience. And then he shared his experience with us कि यार मैं जो अंडमान में नहीं कर पाया वो तुमने मुझे ये 100 square feet की जगह में करने दिया. So that value we are delivering to our customers, in which we can definitely claim that we are creating environment where people feel that they can do things in a very safe environment, which they wouldn't have done either, in a riskier environment or due to some limitations in the exterior surroundings.
So I think the customer experience, what you say, is the key in this business. If they feel happy, they feel excited about that, then they would repeat purchase.
Right.
More subscribers you build, and that's what all growing up years, that when you become fond of a game, then you wanted to go every day and play, and that's how it is. So So I think it's a great value and a great answer on that. Sonia, your last word. We will be running on closing of the webinar.
So, Kauravji, and for you, Abhishekji, I have one last question, which is in continuation to the spots that you mentioned one can open. Are you open for opening in societies or clubs in the neighborhoods? Is that an option one can also open?
Yes, of course.
Okay, great. I think we've covered most of these questions in our discussions. And what we can do is any questions which are specific to the city or the area, we can take these offline one-on-one with all of them. And I would request Rachna to do that. And if I have to, as my closing remark, I feel market players like you, there's a lot of analytical thinking which needs to go, because there's a lot of personalization which goes in games like this. And it is very important to measure a lot of these key business indicators like return of loyalty of customers. You said you have almost about 80 or 75% of your people coming back and using. And equally important, I feel, is the efficiency of the people who are working there. And one important parameter, apart from retaining the old one, is also getting new users to experience these games. And lastly, I would say is while the overall unit economy of running a center is important, but also return on the investment from each attraction and each capacity is also very important, because each experience, each game would give a different kind of return. That is something I think each outlet, each center, and maybe you as a company at large, you would need to see how your games across various locations are performing, and each game, each attraction should be able to give return on the investment. And I would say the most important thing in this business is it is being adopted by users, and it has established itself as a big industry or category. And we see a big future for this. And congratulations for the beautiful work that you have done. And at Franchise India, we wish both of you a very best of luck. And we would be happy to be a part and parcel of your journey of further expansion within the country. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Sonia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, Gaurav. And also think about edutainment. And I think because the only worry I have is that when you open up in malls, you're busy in the evenings, because especially young people, only when they go out in the day, they're busy in their education. I think if you integrate and try to see how you maximize your timing for the outlets, because they have to be used in the day also. A lot of people would use in the evening when they come to malls, or they come on weekends. So edutainment would be very important. How can you integrate education with this? So that's also going to be a big future, where even school kids can be brought in and they can learn, or they can learn few things, because I think there's also a lot going on that side. If that can be, studios can, because the equipment is same, it can deliver multiple content. Even you can use it for corporates for now. They using the same content for displaying. Like we run a real estate company. In real estate company also a lot of going on now, virtual tours and so on and so forth. So think on possibilities, which I'm sure you're thinking, that how you can sweat out your machines more. Because if you sweat out more, they would create more value for everybody. So congratulations to be in the right space, right time. And as somebody has asked that it should do well in B cities, you have actually started a business out of Nagpur. So it's certainly a proof of concept that you have not only Nagpur but Latur and a lot of other places you've done that. So it's already a success in smaller cities, and I personally feel it will do even better in smaller cities. India has a large market, and now particularly because most of the small cities are in the orange zone, and they are all open and they're working, and people are freely moving out. So I think my message to all the investors on the group, if you are in that market where everything is open, maybe this is a time for you to buy a franchise and start something. And if you want to reach out to the brand, and you can talk to Franchise India or directly reach out to you. So you can also put your email ID for everybody to contact you. I think Archana has already done that. And any final word from you, Gaurav, Abhishek, you for the audience, and then we will have a closing remarks from Archana.
I've mentioned even my contact number on the chat box. Even my email ID is there. So if you have any question which is left uncovered in the whole webinar, you can definitely get in touch anytime on my email ID or on my phone number as well. So I think And rightly mentioned, Gaurav sir, that we are present in tier 2 and tier 3 as well. So we feel that we are blessed to start from Nagpur and not from any metro like Mumbai or Pune or Delhi. So that gave us, a good understanding of the tier 2 market, as well as we could, make our foundations very, very strong in this tier 2 cities. And the case study that I would like to say you is in Nagpur, with a population of 20 lakhs odd people in Nagpur, we are able to sustain 4 outlets in just one city in Nagpur. So that shows that what kind of potential can we have in the metros or even in tier 3 cities.
आजकल तो सब कुछ नागपुर से ही आ रहा है, मतलब यही है. Yeah, Nagpur has become a center point now for all that what we do.
True. That is very true.
Okay, final word from you, Archana. Your final close.
Sure. So thank you so much, Gaurav sir. Thank you so much, Sonia ma'am, for your insights, for giving us the feedback and suggestions. I really want to thank Gaurav ji. I really want to thank Abhishek ji for giving us the time for this particular webinar. We personally learned much about you. We really want to thank our participants who gave us so many queries. We tried to give you answers during this webinar. However, we have some one-to-one interaction with you in coming days. Today we are organizing 3 calls with our investors. You can come back to us. We have already given our email IDs, contact number to you. At Franchise India, we really love to serve you with the best of the options. With this, we would like to give you the information about tomorrow's webinar. So we are doing business opportunity of a chai tomorrow for one of the important brand Pradis. We have Prashant Bhatia, who is the founder, speaking to us tomorrow. Look forward to have you for tomorrow's webinar. My colleague Dheeraj has already given you the link. You can go to this link and you can contact us. With this, we really want to wish you all the best for the day. Stay safe, stay healthy, take good care of yourself and your family. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.